here are the 10 best high interest savings accounts that you can open in Malaysia right now. I've categorized the savings accounts into 4 different categories. The first category is Unconditional Savings Accounts, which means you just have to open your account, deposit money into it, and then do nothing, and the bank will then give you a higher interest rate than the typical 0.2% per annum rate in the market. But just before we start, a small little note here. For any rates mentioned in this video, I'm actually referring to the annualized interest rate. So for those of you who want to get the effective daily or even monthly interest rate, then you have to do the quick math yourself. The first account here is OCBC Flex Account, which used to be known as the Frank by OCBC. This account comes with 2 different pots, a spend pot that gives you 0.3%, which you can freely transact your money, and the other pot, the save pot, gives you an additional 1.9%, but you cannot spend the money in it unless you log into your account to release it into the spend pot. And in my opinion, it's a great way to set a little boundary so you wouldn't spend all of them like your e-wallet. So in total, you will get a whopping 2.2% annualized interest rate without having to do anything at all. No requirement for spending or even depositing or whatnot. And in my opinion, this is a really good savings account to be considered, especially for young people or fresh grads who want to save money in a more flexible way other than fixed deposits. And also, another interesting feature that might be a plus point for those of you who enjoy overseas shopping is that there's 0% foreign exchange markup on the OCBC debit card. However, just note that there will still be a conversion rate of usually 1% on overseas transactions by your Visa or Master debit card. Now, moving on to the second account in this category, we have the MBSB Cash Rich Savings Account I. And I know MBSB Bank might be unfamiliar to some of you, if not most of you, but it is in fact not new in Malaysia. In fact, it is actually an Islamic bank incorporated in 2005 that is wholly owned by Malaysia Building Society Berhad, and it is regulated by Bank Negara Malaysia, like the other banks as well. And yes, the Cash Rich Savings Account is Shariah-compliant, and they promise you a 1.85% base rate, again without having you doing anything. And to make this even better, you can open this account with just 100 ringgit and then maintain it with a minimum of just 50 ringgit. Tawaran baik kan? But of course, smaller banks mean lesser resources lah, which means lesser physical branches and maybe subpar customer service, so just keep that in mind. Up next, we have our second category, the Conditional Savings Account. I have 5 for you in this category, and you need to complete certain actions or components in order to unlock a higher savings rate, and they usually come in 4 main components. Component A, the base rate, which is the minimum interest you will get for the minimum amount in your account balance. And then we have component B, the deposit bonus, which gives you bonus interest for depositing an additional amount into your account every single month. And on top of that, component C, pay bonus, which gives you bonus interest as long as you pay a minimum number of bills or retail transactions, usually 3 bills a month. And then component D, spend bonus, which gives you bonus interest if you spend over a certain amount in that particular month. And lastly, component E, other bonus, which gives you bonus interest if you invest in their, say, unit trust or insurance products. But I will separate out this component as it is very niche and not as applicable to everyone. So the first account in this category is the OCBC 360 account. It comes with a base rate of 0.1%, a deposit bonus of 1.05% if you can deposit 500 ringgit a month, pretty easy to achieve in my opinion, and a pay bonus of 1.05% for paying at least 3 bills a month, like your TNB electricity bill, water, and also telephone bills. And lastly, a spend bonus of 1.05% as well for spending at least 500 ringgit per month, and that amounts to a total of 3.25% per annum if you can fulfill all of the requirements on a monthly basis. And you can easily open this account with an initial deposit of 500 ringgit, but just note that the bonus interest for components B, C, and D is only applicable for amounts below 100,000 ringgit. And overall, I think this is a pretty friendly savings account where the requirements are easy to achieve and can get you up to 3.25% per annum if you're already paying for bills and spending for groceries anyway, right? So 500 ringgit spend shouldn't be an issue at all. The second account here is the RHB Smart Account, which starts off with a base rate of 0.05% when you maintain a minimum of 1,000 ringgit in your account, a deposit bonus of 1.8% for depositing at least 2,000 ringgit a month, a pay bonus of 0.5% for paying minimum 3 bills a month, and a spend bonus of 0.5% as well for spending at least 1k a month. And in total, they kept the maximum interest rate at 2.85%, which is lower than the OCBC 360 account at 3.25%. But the difference here is that they do provide an additional 1% under the other bonus component if you can invest at least a minimum 1,000 ringgit monthly in their unit trust or insurance products. Again, I know not for everyone, just putting it here in case you prefer RHB Bank or you do invest in those products anyway. And this account requires an initial deposit of 1,000 ringgit, and similarly to the OCBC 360 account, the bonus interest for components B, C and D is only applicable for amounts below 100,000 ringgit only. Any amount above that, you'll be paid the base rate of 0.05%. So overall, this is a pretty solid savings account, especially for those of you who are already using RHB investment products, as it gives you up to 3.85% of total interest rate per annum, which is pretty comparable to the rates from the money market funds like Versa and also KDI. And next, we have the UOB One Account with a base rate of 0.1%. There's a maximum of 4% total to be unlocked if you have an account balance between 50k to 100,000 ringgit in your account, and by fulfilling any of the two requirements, such as crediting a monthly salary of 2,000 ringgit into your account, or spending at least 500 ringgit with the UOB debit or credit cards, or pay 3 bills with a minimum of 50 ringgit each, or make 3 direct debits with at least 50 ringgit each, or deposit at least 2,000 ringgit into your account. But if your account balance is less than 50,000 ringgit, the interest can only go up to 2% per annum. And just like the OCBC 360 account just now, it requires an initial deposit of 500 ringgit, and for amounts above 100,000 ringgit, your effective interest rate will be capped at 3.6% instead of 4% for amounts below 100,000 ringgit as shown on the UOB website. So for those of you who want to keep a bigger chunk of the amount between 50,000 ringgit to 100,000 ringgit with withdrawal flexibility. Plus, if you are already using UOB cards, which I honestly think most of you already do, this savings account is perfect for you, as this gives the highest rate compared to the previous accounts. And moving on, we have the HLB Pay Save, which starts with a 0% base rate, but if you deposit at least 2,000 ringgit monthly, you will get 2.25%, which is the highest among all the accounts mentioned just now in this component alone. The pay and spend bonus is at 0.5%, where you need to pay and spend 500 ringgit a month each, and that will give you a total rate of 3.25%, which is the same as compared to OCBC 360. And there's also a 0.9% interest to be unlocked if you trade with HLB e-broking. So for those of you trading Bursa, this might be a plus for you. But that said, the catch for this account is slightly different from the earlier accounts, where the bonus interest for component B is only up to your first 100,000 ringgit. So you still can enjoy the bonus interest rate for component C, D and E. But do keep in mind, there is a cap of 30 ringgit interest for component C and D. A bit sian, right? Now, the last account in this category, we have the Standard Chartered Privileged Saver, which has a base rate of 0.05% and a deposit bonus of 0.7% with a minimum monthly deposit of 3,000 ringgit. And although there is no pay bonus, you can get an additional 1.4% if you spend at least 1,000 ringgit with your credit card and perform a minimum of 5 transactions with your debit card every single month. And as for their other bonus, this account gives you 2% if you insure or invest with them, and additionally on top of that, it has something different compared to other accounts, which I have put under component E over here as well, which is the bonus loyalty of 2% when you increase your average balance in your account by at least 3,000 ringgit monthly. The catch for this account is pretty standard as well, with the bonus interest for components B, C, D and E capped at 100,000 ringgit only. So if you are able able to achieve every single requirement over here, it gives you a whopping 6.15% per annum of interest, but realistically, solely based on the main components, it only gives 2.15% lah. But if you're able to increase your balance by 3,000 ringgit monthly, by all means, go ahead and get the 4.15%. And so here comes our third category, where I will introduce to you high interest savings accounts for balances of more than 100,000 ringgit. And if you notice, the accounts that I mentioned earlier have a 100,000 ringgit cap, right? So for this category of savers, there are usually three types of people. One that is saving for temporary purposes, like waiting for a good opportunity to invest in property or even starting up for a business and whatnot. Or one that is purely saving and wanting a preferred banking customer status. Or the third one, the sole proprietors running a business. These three types of people are most likely the one to be using all these high amount savings account. So the first account here is Alliance SavePlus, which gives you 2.85% per annum if you save above 20k to 500k, and also a 3% to be unlocked by saving more than 500,000 ringgit without any requirements and whatnot. And next on the list is the UOB Stash Account. They start with a base rate of 0.05%, and if you deposit more into your account, you can enjoy up to a total maximum interest rate of 2.38%. So if you want to stash away an even higher amount of say 200,000 ringgit, you can then consider this account other than the Alliance SavePlus account. However, if you have more than 200,000 ringgit, congratulations, then you might consider other accounts as well, because the interest here will be capped at 2.22% for any amount more than 200,000 ringgit. And lastly, just a bonus one here, let me introduce you to the RIZE Savings Account powered by the Saudi Arabian digital bank RHB Bank, which landed in Malaysia in 2022, and currently they are having a campaign, limited time only, until the end of 2023 for this account, where you can get up to 5% per annum for saving 5,000 ringgit and below, and any amount above that will be at 4%. And just in case you're wondering about its security, this account is Shariah-compliant and your money in it is insured by PIDM for up to 250,000 ringgit, the standard one lah. And I've tested it out myself, and I just want to say that their account sign up process is really seamless, so huge props to them for that. So here you go, some of the top 10 high interest savings accounts that you can consider in Malaysia. Personally, if you ask me, I would go for the OCBC 360 account as my top pick, because the conditions to achieve the highest interest rate bonus is pretty simple at just a deposit and spend of 500 ringgit each month, and that's what I've always been doing with my own Maybank and CMB savings account anyway. Of course, the number of physical branches for an overseas bank like OCBC here will always be inferior as compared to local banks like Maybank or even RHB. So if that's a deal breaker to you, then the RHB Smart Account can still be a very strong option for you to consider. And also, just to note here, with digital banks on the rise like RIZE, see what I did there, you can also allocate some money on them since they are now expanding aggressively. So as a consumer, you can definitely benefit from them while it lasts, because just for your information, there will soon be 5 more digital banks launching in Malaysia, and maybe, just maybe, there will be better offers for all of us Malaysians, right? Anyways, I hope you find this video helpful. A little thumbs up would be very appreciated. Thank you for watching, and as usual, I will see you in the next one.